we got to talk about Sean Murphy. And then we're going to do the New York Yankees GM episode. We know that the New York Yankees will not be running out Sean Murphy as their opening day catcher. So they are out of that sweepstakes. Sean Murphy's an Atlanta Brave, but we're going to talk about who's going to be behind the plate for the Yankees, who's going to fill out the lineup for the Yankees, where the additions will come. I think there are additions. And of course, we've got a Yankee guy, Peter Apple, to do it. How are you feeling ahead of this episode? Murphy news aside, because obviously we're going to talk about that for the first 5 to 10 minutes. But when you texted me and said, might be time to do the Yankees, were you dreading it? Were you excited for it? How are you feeling?
I'm excited for it. We've been hearing the Yankees a lot in the news. They've been interested in Dalton Varsho on the Arizona Diamondbacks. They've been in the news for Brian Reynolds from the Pirates. They've been in the news for a crazy Tatis deal. I don't know how much legitimacy is behind that one. We've heard Rodon. We've heard them in the rumor mill a lot, and we generally hear the Yankees. But it's funny, the Yankees normally work in silence, but this offseason has been anything but so far, even though they haven't come out with anything except signing Aaron Judge. So I'm excited to go through kind of all the hypotheticals, what makes sense. So that's why I'm excited. Am I excited about what they will actually do? Kinda. I'm not sure that they're going to do everything that they've been in the rumor mill for, but we'll see. And we're going to make them better today, and that's what I'm excited for.
Do you think we're going to look at this as an underwhelming offseason for the New York Yankees?
I think it's so tough to tell.
Early.
What we can do is make a good offseason, and that's what I'm excited to do. And I do think that there are more moves that they will make. We saw the Braves just make big deals. We've seen that the Astros are now interested in Dalton Varsho. We've seen their competitors make moves that are trying to win. So if the Yankees do nothing, it will be another failure. I know they signed Aaron Judge, but Aaron Judge was already a Yankee. So they have to get better. So, yeah, I'm expecting a solid offseason. I don't know if they're going to do everything that's been in the news, though.
Yeah, fair. The Braves did get better. They got Sean Murphy in a trade from Oakland. And here's the whole deal, according to Jeff Passan. Atlanta got Sean Murphy. Great. We're going to start there. Oakland got Kyle Muller, lefty from Atlanta, Esteury Ruiz, an outfielder that was the stolen base king of minor league baseball that was flipped in the Hader deal at the deadline from San Diego to Milwaukee. They get Esteury Ruiz from Milwaukee. They get Freddie Tarnok from Atlanta. And then they get Royber Salinas and Manny Pena. And then Milwaukee, to complete the 3-team trade, got William Contreras from Atlanta. They got Justin Yeager, and they got Joel Payamps. So obviously we're going to start with Atlanta and Sean Murphy. Atlanta just got a lot better. And whether you like d'Arnaud or you like Contreras or you like both of them or not, this is an immediate upgrade. You get a really talented defensive catcher, and you get a guy that will not hit above 250, I don't think, but will provide some power and will be an anchor for you.
Yeah, but batting average doesn't really matter all that much. It kind of does.
Right. No, yeah. It's pointless.
Yeah, I mean, he's an above average hitter, and he's one of the best gloves in baseball, and he's young, and he has 3 years of control. Not a lot of catchers fit that mold. And Sean Murphy is one of the best catchers in baseball. Like, I'm excited to do our top 10s that we always do leading up to the season, and Sean Murphy will be high. And that's why I am so disappointed again in the Oakland A's. You like Kyle Muller. I don't mind Kyle Muller. He could be okay. Esteury Ruiz could wreak havoc on the base paths, but it's also about getting on base. Will he get on base at enough of a clip for him to really wreak havoc like he did in the minor leagues? I'm not so sure.
Right.
What are we doing, Oakland? They wanted major leaguers. I wrote that in the article when I was at the winter meetings. That was all anybody was talking about when they were talking about Sean Murphy, how he was really connected to the Cubs, connected to the Cardinals. I wrote that he was connected to the Braves, that he was connected to the Guardians, that the A's wanted major league players. Why? Where is this organization going? I saw Aram put out a tweet as well, kind of saying the same thing, and I thought the exact same thing. What are they doing? Is this a rebuild? Kyle Muller, 25 years old, could be a decent lefty, but what are they doing, Jack? You said that you kind of like the deal because you kind of like Muller. that can't be enough for Sean Murphy. Alex Anthopoulos did it again. He fleeced him. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, he got a lot in return. And I'm not talking talent. I'm talking like quantity. He got quantity over quality, and that doesn't mean shit. And
yeah,
I wouldn't say that I like the deal, but I like Kyle Muller. That's the difference here. And I like Muller because I think Muller could be, the argument can be made that Kyle Muller could be the opening day starter for the Oakland A's. And this is a guy that has 11 major league starts under his belt. And that's what we're looking at with them right now. Obviously, they've got, some better arms than that and some more proven arms than that will get the nod. But Kyle Muller is a guy that can take the ball and will take the ball every fifth day for the Oakland A's. Made 3 starts this past year in Atlanta, and he got hit really, really hard. 11 earned runs in 12 and a third innings. But he threw 134 innings in Gwinnett this year, the AAA level, had a 3.4 ERA, punched out 10.5 guys per 9, walked fewer than 3 guys per 9. He's got a really hard fastball. He's got tight breaking stuff. I like Kyle Muller as a major league starter. I think they just got a major league starter with 46 days of service time under his belt in return for that. But the problem is everywhere else, right? Esteury Ruiz, you mentioned, like, is he going to get on base enough? And here's what he did at the major league level this year between 14 games in San Diego and 3 games in Milwaukee. He slashed 171, 194, 257. That is a failed audition from Esteury Ruiz with 2 teams.
Very small sample. And Muller, very small sample. And nothing for Sean Murphy.
Yes, but again, quantity over quality.
And they also gave up a reliever. Like, they also gave up, what's his name, Payamps?
Joel Payamps, yeah.
Yeah. He's all right. 28-year-old reliever. They just gave up more. For what?
So I'm going to keep on going. If you're Freddie Tarnok, 23 starts in minor league baseball this year, had an ERA just over 4, 106 innings, 10.5 Ks per 9, under 4 strikeouts per 9. Tarnok could be...
Wait a minute. Under 4 strikeouts per 9?
No, under 4 walks per 9.
Okay, yeah.
Under 4 walks per 9. So he could be a 5, 10.5 Ks per 9.
Could be a 5. Great.
Could be a 5, which sucks, right?
Yeah.
But then you get to the gems that, like, nobody knows about. How about this righty Royber Salinas? And Jeff Passan followed up on the thread of his full trade tweet and said, I don't believe Royber Salinas has been reported previous to this, but he's an extremely interesting prospect who struck out 175 in 109 innings as a 21-year-old in Class A last season. If he can get his walks under control, he's got a chance to be very, very good for the A's. So, lottery ticket on a guy that strikes out 1 billion dudes per 9, which is interesting. And then Manny Pena just stinks. So that kind of sucks.
How in the right mind can you say that the A's even did okay here? How? What is this? And Colby said this in the group chat, and I burst out laughing. Does Alex Anthopoulos have dirt on the A's?
He might with the Pache shit for Matt Olson. Yeah.
I'm waiting for anyone to give me an answer on how this impacts the A's. Like, I'm sorry for all the A's fans that are listening. I hope you're still here. You might not be after this, and I could totally understand why. They won, 8 games last year? They're going to win 4 next year.
Yeah.
They just gave up their only good player, and Elvis Andrus is gone. Was he? No, he wasn't even on the A's.
He was DFA'd.
Yeah, he's DFA'd.
Yeah, I mean, they suck. And I'll run through the lineup and the rotation in a minute here, but I do want to wrap with Milwaukee because they got better behind the plate. William Contreras, they got better offensively.
Yeah,
I would love if Milwaukee found someone to supplement Contreras and the bat. I would love if they brought Narvaez back. And
I wouldn't be surprised if they do. And Milwaukee did fine here. They gave up Esteury Ruiz, who they got in the Josh Hader deal, and turned him into William Contreras, who I would rather have.
Which is pretty interesting.
I think the Brewers did well here. The Brewers did better than the A's.
Yes. So running through what the Oakland A's may look like on opening day. You ready?
No.
This is fucking horrible. Horrible. Leading off at second base, this is from Roster Resource at Fangraphs. Tony Kemp is the leadoff guy. Seth Brown at first. Ramon Laureano in right. Jace Peterson at third. Aledmus Diaz, the new golden boy, 2 years, 14, as the 5-hitting DH. Connor Capel in left. Shea Langoliers, the catcher. Nick Allen at short. Esteury Ruiz in center. And then you've got a four-man bench right now: Manny Pena, Ryan Noda, Ernie Clement, Christian Pache, and a five-man rotation of Cole Irvin, Paul Blackburn, Ken Waldachuk, James Kaprelian, Kyle Muller.
Dude.
I mean, that team is the most non-competitive roster I think I've ever read off on this show.
Easily. Fuck them. Let's talk about the Braves. What? Oakland? Why do you want major leaguers? Why? The Braves
here's what they're looking like.
No, wait, hold on for a second.
Okay.
Sean Murphy has been floated to so many teams. The Guardians were in on him. The Cubs were in on him. The Cardinals were in on him. The Yankees at one point were in on him. They could have gotten a boatload. And what do you get? Kyle Muller, who I think is fine. What are we doing here, A's? What are we doing?
Can I just acknowledge that you said, let's talk about the Braves, and then you took one more moment to shit on the A's?
Because it's so infuriating. If I am an A's fan, I am considering leaving this team. That is the most uncompetitive, terrible trade. And I have no words for them. None.
I understand.
Alex Anthopoulos fleece. Now let's talk about the Braves. Sorry, A's fans. You're winning 48 games next year.
It's fine.
You're lucky.
All right. Opening day projected starting lineup from Roster Resource without Dansby Swanson. Note that. And apparently the Cubs are one of the leaders in the clubhouse for Dansby Swanson, but the Braves also remain heavily involved here. So we're going to plan that Dansby Swanson is not in a Braves uniform on opening day. Sean Murphy is catching. The infield, you've got Matt Olson at first, Ozzie Albies at second, Vaughn Grissom at short, Austin Riley at third, and the outfield from left to right, Marcelo Zuna, Michael Harris, Ronald Acuna, with Travis d'Arnaud as the DH, and a five-man starting rotation of Fried, Strider, Wright, Morton, and Soroka, who's finally healthy.
Team's freaking elite. That is such a sick team. They are just competing with the Mets without spending all the money that the Mets are.
Yeah.
And also, I was listening to your guys' Mets episode. First of all, great episode. But second of all, I feel like you guys were crowning the Mets champions.
I mean, it's hard not to when like they could be paying with penalties involved. Like Steve Cohen, there might be $400 million coming out of his pocket this year.
And what has it resulted in? They got to prove something.
It resulted in over 100 wins last year.
Yeah, and a first-round exit.
A wild card exit. They didn't even fucking make it to the first round.
That's what I was saying. I was like, the way that you guys were talking about him is that the 2023 season is over. I'm like, I can count on maybe more than one hand of the teams who are at least as good as them. Like, are they better than the Braves today?
Well, I think yes, but that's why we love this sport, because
the Mets better than the Phillies?
Like, so that's the thing, right? Braves, Phillies, they are still in the same conversation, and we can have this conversation about the Mets and the field, even though Steve Cohen's going to pay $400 million, including the tax penalty. So that's why baseball is just freaking awesome, because you run into this conversation, and the LA Dodgers, they have been the big bad Dodgers for the last however many years. And the only World Series championship they've gone home with is in a season where nobody was allowed in the stands in the regular season. They only played 60 games, 102 fewer games than your typical season. So there's nothing to prove that the Mets are a failsafe, right? There's nothing to prove that Atlanta is a failsafe. Nobody's safe because anybody can beat anybody in baseball. The Oakland A's, we've already shit on them enough. They're still going to win at least 40 games next year.
I don't know.
I think yes.
I don't know.
They're gonna.
Hopefully.
I think Kyle Muller's a 10-win guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's just upsetting me. That's upsetting me. Brewers, though, let's talk about them for a second, because they did very well here. They basically traded Esteury Ruiz for William Contreras. They did better there. They are a
Yes.
better team than they were yesterday. They just kind of came in. I really thought that Willy Adames was going to go over in this deal, but nope, they kept him. I like it, and they are better than they were yesterday. I don't have a ton of thoughts on it, but they are better.
As it stands right now, the opening day lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers: William Contreras catching with Victor Caratini currently serving as his backup. I would like if they brought back Narvaez, but I certainly don't hate that tandem. First base, Rowdy Tellez. You got Bryce Terang slated as the opening day second baseman, Willy Adames at short, and you've got Luis Urias at third. The outfield left to right is Yelich, Garrett Mitchell, Tyrone Taylor, Jesse Winker as the DH, Toro, Brasso, and Hura on the bench, with Joey Weimer and Sal Frelick waiting in the wings here.
Not a bad team.
That's not a bad team at all in a starting five of Burns, Woodruff, Lauer, Freddie Peralta, Aaron Ashby.
I will take that. That is not a bad team. The Brewers are doing fine. That's why I didn't want to commit to their doing this whole rebuild thing, giving up Renfroe and Wong. They gave up those guys. They were like salary dumps. And then they're also going to have Winker back, who could hit in Milwaukee. And then you have their best prospects filling right in, who are all at least close to major league ready. Now, can you expect them to be Michael Harris? Can you expect them to be Julio Rodriguez? No. But can you expect them to be valuable contributors? I think you can. This Brewers team might be a little sneaky next year. Good trade.
I think so. It defines sneaky for me, because this was a team that was favored to win the NL Central coming into 2022, right?
And now I think people are all writing them off. And do you think they're going to finish lower than second next year?
No, they can't finish lower than second. I mean, they're so much better than the Cubs, Reds, and Pirates.
That's what I'm saying. I think people are ready to catapult them down the division. And I'm thinking to myself, they are still second. So if we look at the National League, Dodgers, I assume, are going to win the West. Cardinals win the Central. Mets, Phillies, Braves. Those are your best teams. But then who's next?
San Diego, obviously.
Oh, San Diego, of course. I don't know how I'm forgetting them. Then
and then the Brewers.
Then the Brewers, unless the Giants sign Correa and they do a bunch, which is, we're still waiting. You know, they signed Sean Manaea to a 2-year deal. That's something new. And I don't think it keeps them out of the Rodon thing, but it's kind of feels like the Haniger thing to me, where they're probably more out on Judge now. Sean Manaea probably more out on Rodon. I would say the Brewers are right there. So they could compete for a wild card while in a rebuild-esque thing.
Yeah, I just don't even know if you can call this a rebuild or not for Milwaukee yet.
That's what I was hearing from you guys.
That it was a rebuild? No, we were saying that it was the start of them possibly going into rebuild mode, but we did not say that they were fully in a rebuild.
I hear what I want to hear, and I go with it.
I know you do. I've learned that. So you want to talk about the